Hello, everyone. I thought I would just take a minute and talk a little bit about trauma and what to expect given what's going on in the LA fires. But this is the beginning of the wildfire season in California, and fire can be particularly frightening for people. It's not a fun way to die. And so that's where the mind goes first. So, as you're coming through this, for those of you who had to endure such a horrific experience, there are going to be all kinds of things that happen. You're going to have nightmares, anxiety, flashbacks where all you can do is think about it. You're going to want to talk about it over and over and over again, which actually is very good for you. You're going to find that you want to avoid certain things, and those lists of what you avoid can get more and more and more extensive. So, again, keep your eyes open for what you might want to stay away from. Then there are those things that you're going to avoid that aren't quite so obvious. They're going to sit very quietly inside you, and they're going to be emotional avoidances. And so those emotional avoidances can take on a life of their own. And what can happen is you want to not feel the terror you felt from the fires, or you don't want to feel the pain and the horrific feelings that you felt if you lost someone in the fires. So you want to close off those emotions. But by closing off those emotions to avoid them, you end up closing off many emotions and avoiding them. And that happens very subtly and very insidiously. So you keep your eyes open to yourself and what's going on inside. Feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, those are flip sides of the same coin. They are always symptoms of the trauma. And so listen for some of these things. There's so much more I could give you. But let's start simple. If you know someone who was affected by the fires, even remotely affected, let them talk about it. Listen to them. Understand that when they talk about the trauma, they're processing it on the inside. They may tell the story over and over again. You may tell your story over and over and over again. And that is so okay. The more you tell it, the more you neutralize it. So keep telling it. But don't tell it to sensationalize it, tell it to heal it. They're two different things. One, we're telling a story that we think everybody wants to hear, but when we're doing that, we're shutting our own self down on the inside so that we can get through it. We're telling the story. Share the story. Share the story with everybody who will let you share it. And if you cry, if you feel uncomfortable as you tell it, you're going to find that the more you share it, the more those feelings subside because you're truly neutralizing the experience inside yourself. So give yourself the opportunity to share your story as much as possible and to tell the story as much as you can. But understand that where the healing begins is in the sharing. Trauma does not heal over time. Grief does. So if you lost a pet or a person or your home in the fire, then you're going to grieve the loss, and that will heal over time. What does not heal over time is the traumatic reaction of what you just went through, the terror, the horror, the intensity of the pain. That needs a little extra TLC. If you're having a difficult time by yourself, if you're not sleeping, if your sleep gets off, if you find yourself drinking or using substances in order to make things go away because it's too much to handle, please reach out to someone. And if you're watching that happen in someone you love, please help them reach out to someone who can help them put the pieces of trauma together and begin the healing process, because it does not heal on its own. And I think there's something to that. We're not an independent animal. We're a group animal. We don't do anything all by ourselves. We don't do anything independently. And so sometimes when we go through a trauma, a piece of what it's there for is to help us reconnect with other people in a new way. And although that sounds odd, use such an awful situation for such a beautiful situation, like connecting with those people in your life who want you to move through this pain and into a better place. So again, trauma, you need to talk as much as you can talk. And when you talk, you want to share your story more than just tell your story, because telling your story is more entertainment and just kind of saying it. But sharing it is letting people see what you went through and really putting it on the table. Allow yourself to understand that if you're feeling feelings of depression and anxiety, those are flip sides of the same coin, and they are symptoms of the trauma. They can also be symptoms of the grief, but they're definitely symptoms of the trauma. If you're finding yourself having nightmares at night, not sleeping through the night, waking up periodically, not remembering your dreams, waking up in the morning startled with anxiety, all of that is part of trauma. So, all of that you want to reach out and talk about because all of it needs to be healed. It's not going to just go away on its own. If you find yourself drinking a little bit more, using substance a little bit more, allow yourself to be aware that all of that is part of the trauma. It's situational use, but it can create a chemical dependency inside the body. Not the same as addiction or alcoholism, but it can create a dependency because of all of the use. That is also a part of trauma. So all of these pieces, oh, so many pieces, are very real. Don't judge yourself if you're experiencing them, and don't judge someone you know if they are experiencing them. Please, let's help yourself and let's help each other make it through the trauma with as little loneliness and unknown pieces as possible. And as you rebuild your homes and you rebuild your lives, remember you're also rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Thank you all for joining me, and may the magic be yours.